There's lots to get to on this week's show. Check out what we're following. Details about the new farm bill have been trickling out. We'll go through that. Does the current trade truce with China mean a long-term resolution is on the way? And what are experts expecting to make headlines in 2019? Well, we've got one on the show right now. Let's see what he has to say. Dr. Chad Hart is our first guest this week. He is an agricultural economist from Iowa State University, and we've got lots of news coming down before the end of the year. It's always good to have him here with us. To begin, I'd like to get your first impressions on the new farm bill. What's in it? Who does it impact most? How's it any different this time around? Anything at all you want to tell us?
Okay. Well, so we're looking at the farm bill, and the president says he's going to sign it probably later this week. What we're looking at here is sort of a continuation of the 2014 farm bill. We're going to keep the same basic set of programs out there. We're going to make some tweaks, hopefully to make them work a little better for farmers. So we're going to make some tweaks to PLC, the price loss coverage program, ARC, ag risk coverage programs. Both of those trying to make prices within those programs float a little bit more with where the markets are going. We're also adding a few acres on some conservation programs, expanding CRP a little bit there. You're seeing crop insurance basically trying to hold that harmless, if you will, for a while. And then when you're looking at different crops, specialty crops, we're trying to expand the opportunities for farmers out there through this farm bill.
Gotcha. And also, as far as trade, we've got that 90-day trade truce with China. But I was reading an article where you're quoted as saying the announcement is not a lot to hang your hat on. So you don't see the needle moving too much with that?
Well, it could, but the idea is there's nothing in writing that says here's what's going to happen or here's what the two sides have agreed to do to make this truce meaningful, if you will, to the markets. So what we've seen is sort of a verbal agreement, okay, we're going to do some things to help each other out here, but what does that translate to us for in agriculture here? We have seen one sale to China on the soybean side, but it was relatively small. And in talking with farmer groups, I told them, one sale doesn't excite me. Give me 10 to 15 of those sales, and then suddenly we're talking about something that can move our markets.
And with all the trouble concerning soybeans this year, you think 2019 may finally be the year where another country overtakes the U.S. as the world's top producer?
I think that's definitely the case. As we look at Brazil, they've been hot on our heels for the past few years. 2019, they'll expand acreage as we contract, and so we'll see them rise up to become the world's largest producer of soybeans.
And still looking at trade, but as far as meat goes, the beef trade with Japan, it's been making news lately. Things seem to be going along pretty well there. Any updates, anything we need to know in that regard?
Well, I think as you're looking at the meat markets in general, the storyline has been stronger numbers through our export markets here. Beef especially has been strong throughout 2018. We're seeing, double-digit increases in our export sales there. And it hasn't been just Japan, but South Korea has been a big meat market for us as we went over the past year, and hopefully we'll continue to build on that going into next year.
So do you see any other trends in the livestock market that you're watching as we head into 2019?
Probably the biggest thing I'm watching right now is, again, as I'm looking at the international side, do we continue to see growth there? Because we've been building up our meat production here in the U.S., and most of that has been geared towards filling that international demand. And so the storyline for 2018 is, despite all the trade problems, we've been able to grow those markets. Hopefully we'll continue to build them in 2019.
And another thing that you've talked about is how the country is missing its mid-sized farmers. So for these mid-sized farmers out there, what marketing strategies do you have for them right now?
Well, the biggest thing I'm talking to a lot of farmers about on the crop side, it's looking at where prices are at today and thinking about how do I want to market not only old crop, but I'm especially thinking about the 2019 crop, new crop, and sitting out there going, are there opportunities today that I could take advantage of? We are seeing some fairly decent prices, when I'm looking at the futures market compared to year ago levels. On the livestock side, it's also a matter of managing margins right now. I think when we're looking at the cattle industry, for example, the idea is that feeder cattle are running still fairly strong, but there are some opportunities to put some weight on some animals that's going to pay off, especially as we look deep into the springtime into early summer. Same thing as I'm looking at the hog industry there. We are seeing stronger prices as we look out into 2019.
Any guesses as to what you think the big story for 2019 is going to be?
I fear it's going to be the same as in 2018. It's going to be trade, but hopefully in this case it'll be working more positively in our agricultural markets than it did this past year.
Gotcha. And finally, last question here. You're going to be speaking at Feedlot Forum 2019 on January 15th. What are you going to be talking to the audience about?
We're going to be talking a heck of a lot about trade. What they specifically asked me to do is talk about, as we're looking at trade, how's it not only impacted our markets here in the past, but looking forward. Where are those opportunities? Where do we see areas for growth as we look out there in global demand for meat? And one of the areas I'll be really concentrating on is talking about Southeast Asia, and not just thinking about China, but looking at India, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and going, okay, what are our opportunities to grow our meat markets there?
Excellent. Dr. Chad Hart of Iowa State University, thanks for your insight and everything. We definitely appreciate it, and have a good holiday.
It's my pleasure. Have happy holidays.